dispatch agreement. A few minutes ahead. Never happens.
Wait, somebody else is
Probably a lot of people waiting to hear the outcome. So, have you followed up on this in any way?
That's just the numbers with our salary. So that everybody knows, I looked through the dispatch agreement and I got with our HR on what it actually costs for the dispatcher. And I know that says labor and other costs on there. That $114,442 is anticipated salary for fiscal year 27 for one dispatcher. And so that's why I requested the change from the 90.
So let's back up a little bit on this whole thing, just so you know. So this dispatch agreement, I negotiated a hell of a long time ago, and it was for a dispatcher, because there's only one in there, and we fought like hell, city and the county. But it was still the right thing to do, was to get a dispatch agreement. And so it's kind of went backwards, but it's our fault. We always had the 3%. But when we started giving out 5% raises, and then we gave the big raise to dispatch a couple of times. So that puts us in the rear, but it's our own fault. See what I'm saying?
And I don't disagree that going from the 16,000, whatever it was, is a huge jump to the 114. But it makes us more whole.
Well, the hard part is, I think, the city's already done their budget, I think. I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody because this was your push. I know that I talked to the sheriff, he said he's talking to you.
Yeah, several times.
And I think everybody worked real hard on getting to that 90. Are you in no back down mode still?
Well, I mean, I think what everybody needs to realize is that.
Well, that's the thing, is you want that, but you haven't went and articulated to anyone.
Well, to the sheriff.
Well,
but
not on the city side.
Not on the city side. We're looking at, for the budget, B budget, which is expenses, no labor, for dispatch, it costs the county, we're anticipating, we haven't approved the budget yet, but $225,000 for our B budget for dispatch. And our A budget, which is staff, is $1.2 million that the county is paying. And nearly half of those calls are city. So the 114 seems to me like a killer deal. But I don't know how the city is with their budget and how far along you guys are in the process and what you
I
anticipate.
think they've improved their budget.
Commissioners, can we officially convene our meeting real quick? We'd love to have a conversation.
Where are you? That's what makes it even harder right now to try and throw them in.
Would you mind if we had a conversation?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, well,
Come on up. Whoever wants to come up, come up.
that's why I brought it up early.
Chairman and Commissioners, thanks for entertaining us all as quickly as this thing's evolving, right?
Just state your names for the record.
So, Councilman Scott Harjo, Mayor Sykes, Councilman Brandon McCarthy, Councilman Sanders, we're trying to get him on the phone.
It's all good. I feel bad about it that everybody worked on this, back and forth, ping pong around. Everybody agreed on a number, and then the 11th hour,
Well, honestly, when I went to the city council meeting and you guys approved it, about 30 minutes before I got there is when I got the HR numbers. Just want to say I didn't know the numbers were otherwise.
So, Chairman, we have already done our budgets past
that's what I think. I mean, I didn't ask.
the extra. We
we'd have to go and try to find that somewhere, so.
I kind of figured that's where it's hard, I get it.
So I guess that understanding the HR numbers side of things. And Chairman, you mentioned that in the original negotiation, this was tied to headcount. We've always understood this, at least during my 3 years, that this was a service contract. That we're paying for the service and not paying for dispatching.
It originally started out as for an extra dispatch, because there was only one in there. And every time there was an emergency, all the city officers, everybody's calling in a license plate, whatever. And whoever's in there, they just can't handle it. And that's how it really started. And when we finally got down to the negotiation table, I think Schroeder, Riz, oh God, I can't remember, Shapani, them guys are like, well, we don't want to pay for a dispatcher answering the phone for a barking dog. It doesn't matter. There has to be another body in this to handle the volume.
So during that
It doesn't
time,
matter whether it's you, our deputy, it doesn't matter. There's only one person to dispatch. It don't work. And so that's how it all evolved to begin.
understood. And during that time, I think the city's been always willing to come to the table about an agreement. I put together some numbers that kind of highlight for fiscal year 24, over 23, there was a 3% increase, which was kind of the target at the time. From 24 to 25, the current 68,000 we're operating under, that was a 15% increase. What we proposed over that was an additional 36% increase. And the jump to 114, 442 is a 41% increase over the current contract. Understanding the concept of tying to the cost of the dispatcher is one thing. We also operate under different terms for similar agreements, say for animal control. Right? Now we're charging wolves only the 5-day hold, even though we might be hanging on to that dog longer than 5 days. Right? We're not asking for headcount on that side, even though that over 50% of the time, animal control has.
Let's just separate that right there. We're not talking that. We're talking dispatch.
I would disagree. There's a point to be made, though, that over the last 20 months, since 20-ish months, since December of 24 when this got pulled, quite frankly, we put a lot of time and effort in as the various versions of City Council to work together with the county on a number of things, including the interaction between Elmore County Sheriff's Department, PD, between the City Council, City of Mountain Home, county commissioners. Just 2 weeks ago, at our last meeting, we approved the ambulance district resolution. We allocated $40,000 for the CHEMS vehicle. Like there's a significant amount of work that I think we've all put in to creating a better partnership. And I don't want to say that this isn't that. What I am trying to impress is that a 36% increase of the 90,000 plus 10,000 for ILETs was a significant jump, and that is what we budgeted for because that was what we all agreed to prior to the last council meeting.
And I'd make a motion to approve that right now. But there's no point in making a motion. It's just later.
Agreed. And so one last color point in this, that if we were to proceed at the 114, 442, the city resident is also an Elmore County resident. If a city resident lives within the municipal corporation boundary, they're going to pay 1.58% of their general fund costs just to the dispatch agreement. We, in our 27 or 26 L2, our general fund is $7.245 million. So 1.58% of that will go into this contract. If their neighbor across the street in the county pays no additional for that same service from Elmore County Dispatch. And I think that's kind of the part of we're here to be good community partners, and we're willing to pay. It was just fairly shocking last week to hear, one, that the increase was that significant of a request, But two, some of the verbiage being said, the city's not trying to screw the county. That's flat out not the case, right?
And I don't think anybody ever said that.
We all had that. We all had our conversations or meetings prior to this, the sheriff's department, his staff, trying to get to a logical number and a logical increase. So I believe we've all negotiated in good faith and understanding that this is tied in Commissioner Rogers, you're tying it directly to one headcount. And I can appreciate that perspective. It's just when you look at the overall of what that additional cost is, it's $135,000 on the contract. And if we're going to talk in those terms, quite frankly, are we going to have some security that this isn't pulled again in a year? But we were under a contract, and understanding that we had our challenges before. I'm trying to set out a pace for the community that we'll have some security in this agreement over the next 5 years. If we take our
It's been in
time,
place for a lot of years.
agreed.
It hasn't been addressed.
And Chairman, I appreciate it. I thought it was tied to non-emergency services or non-emergency calls, not with dispatch. I didn't know that history. I was always told it was, you get nervous or old guard come in and go, hey, this is for just non-emergency calls, not for emergency calls or dispatch.
Well, they got to dispatch. There are certain calls they got to dispatch without an agreement.
For sure.
Right? By law, they have to do that.
For sure.
But, and the thing back then is you guys had MDTs in your cars. Nobody knew how to use them. They actually sent Teresa Malaya over there to teach your guys how to use them. I mean, trying to help.
Now the new system, we're stoked. And the thing has been reciprocated. Our guys have gone and helped the county sheriff's guys learn all that. We're one fluid team right now, so it's a good thing. So I guess
I was good with what you guys had. It was Crystal. The sheriff sent. She asked him for some information, so he sent out the call logs and whatever. And it's never changed. The city's always had more calls than the county. I didn't see anything different from every year.
And the concentration of taxation in that same region is also significantly higher proportion. I mean, that's where I impress again. The city of Mount Home residents are still Elmore County residents.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult, and I understand that it's zero, but I could not believe the cost difference, and I just.
Well, we
Staff
compound,
keeps
like I
going.
said, we compound that ourselves. That's not their fault.
Right, there was a 15% increase 2 years ago to the cost of staffing for dispatch, and 8% last year.
We're still doing
Proposed 8% this year, 7 out of 12 headcount. Right? We know the struggles, right? And we put the time in to understand those.
Yeah, because
those
they just
struggles and
can't.
get caught
It's
up
a tough
financially.
job.
It is.
And it's hard to keep somebody in there, and we've been
There's going to be attrition.
throwing money at it and, trying to solve that, but that won't fix it.
Sure. And it's hard to compete in this region. We've got 2 population hubs around us that have really tough wages to compete with, right? So understanding those challenges, and we want to make sure that the city of Mountain Home is paying their fair share, but we also want to represent that the city residents are also due that same courtesy of is their cost for the same service that their neighbor receives across the street. Is this equitable? We understand that the call volume in general is higher in the city now. The breakout of call volume versus statutorily required emergency response versus non-emergency, that's also the part that I think ties directly into this contract. And that's where it's tied to the service level and not so much the pay.
well in the emergency. I have to say the emergency calls themselves are slightly over for the county because we have.
Sure.
So, as far as time.
Commissioner, do you have the statistics of the non-emergency calls by chance? Just on I just would like to know for food for thought. And with the rough
You should build out the sheriff that question.
Yeah, sure.
They have all that.
It's, I mean, it is roughly, it's like between 45 and 55% on the other side. And so not even C is higher than C or let's see the county because of the understand.
This is cool.
And we want to get to, you know, a solution here. At some point, I mean, are you able to, is the city able to take a bigger cut of that labor cost? I mean, I don't know. We had 5% increase, but it goes from, when I figured on the actual one head dispatch, it went from 114 to 120. Are you able to get to 120 next year, or? I mean, I know it's hard to tell that.
No, I was trying to get there.
We have legal representative.
We can call him when he said he would be available for phone. Can't hear phone.
What do you ask?
So, what I was gonna ask Jeff is that, legally we're bound to be paying, or, sorry, I don't wanna say legally we're bound, but we should be paying for the service, not for staffing costs, is what my impression is over this. And so, but,
That's where it's tracked off, because I negotiated this deal all over.
right,
And it was for one more dispatch. That's the problem.
but what's in the writing, right? So that's why I wanted to get legal on the phone to see, like, what does the actual contract represent in the state? That we should be paying for the service and staffing?
It says, in parentheses, it says labor and other costs. So that could be.
I wouldn't even mess with it.
You know, and that's the difficult part, right? Is the application of the dollars once it reaches your side of the fence. You know, that's up to you and sheriff's department staff to allocate that funding out, whether that's to improve the rate of pay or whatever. Really, this is a service contract, and I think it's just agreed that an increase should be tied to the cost of, you know, CPI and COLA and all those things, because those things that go up for everybody, right? As municipalities, we have to deal with cost increase, and that, I think the 5% stab was our honest effort, talking with AJ, the sheriff's department and dispatch staff, yourselves individually, to get to a point where this was equitable. The 41% increase over the current contract is a big jump. It's a big jump. We have to be able to justify that as a city now, residents. The same service that you have today, that on October 1 when the new contract came into agreement, that what you're paying for is either the headcount or the service.
Well, personally, I'm not on Crystal's side. I'm good with the thing. So, you know, I mean,
Chairman,
because when you already do your budgets, you gotta go dip into another pot. How are you gonna do it? It just, you know, for the,
so especially if our contract expires next month, right, within 1 month, it expires. We've done our budget, we closed our budget, about ready to print it. I felt like we're more than meeting in the middle with this percentage of 5% increase every year, right? To be honest, guys, if you don't, I appreciate, thank you for wanting to keep what's stated here in this contract. If you are really going to push for the 114, I'm just telling you right now, I won't be for that.
I think for me, it's again, Chairman, I appreciate your willingness to say what has been done so far.
well, I think a lot of hard work's been put into it.
Right.
And to me, it's just, I have to support what she wants or what she feels she wants. I mean, I can't tell her, no, don't do that. But there's no point in me putting motion on the floor. It's just simple. And so if Crystal's not willing to come down, well, we'll just have to push it off another week until I get another commissioner in there and see what he wants. That's all I can do.
That understandable, right? You know, we kind of the same thing. It's the different topics, right?
Yeah,
I
it's just
thought it'd be
bad
fair to
timing.
have have a
That's fine.
to have an honest conversation about your perspective, our perspective, trying to do what's best for community safety. Right? There's a point in which a significant number, a non-trivial number of a non-emergency call evolves into an emergency call. Every police chief, sheriff in the country will tell you that that's an actual call. And this is the part in which we have a duty to make sure that we have this agreement in place, that those events that could evolve into an emergency situation, that they get their fair treatment of having an actual CAD record, a call recorded, because who knows where that thing evolves to from there, whether that's a criminal case, whether that's injury, death, what have you. If a non-emergency call slips through the cracks, that becomes an emergency. If that scenario happens and we don't have an agreement, we all fail. And that's the point at which our council is just trying to get something logical on the books and agreed to before our current contract expires.
And I agree with you there. And mind you, I'm only in this seat. So that was my attempt, just to make sure that when I'm responsible for the money for the county, that it's taken care of. And it's covering at least a portion of it. I mean, it's still a very small portion of our budget. I mean, minuscule. And it's very difficult for me to look at that and just think that it's just going to, like in Al's case where he says, well, it's been our fault that we didn't increase our salary. We couldn't. I mean, I'm sure the city had the same thing. We just couldn't. And then so the contract, when we finally could, then the contract didn't reflect that. And obviously, that is on us. But it's just getting us further and further behind without doing that. Now and I don't know how you guys feel about this. Like I said, I'm out in January. I'm no longer here. And, Kelly Rich will take over, and I don't know what his view is on everything. And obviously, Bud's not here. And I don't necessarily I got 6 weeks. And I don't want any lapse in service, honestly.
But I think that, I understand you're not going to be here, but if some Kelly or whoever walks in and says, that you were right, there should be more, well, that's a good time to have a conversation next year with the city before they say.
Chairman, that's
It's just not fair.
I understand the concern about the cost. I understand. To me, it's one of these. I feel that between the county and the city, new into this year is one of the first ones. I feel that we really started off on it with some of the things that we had in our previous city council meetings, Councilman Park, and submission, excuse me, for EMS. I mean, to me, these are the things that we can still be working towards this for. And it's now kind of seems like we're starting to bog down a little bit more. And to me, it's always, I feel that let's continue to make progress, working together and building this relationship, working towards this dispatch in good faith. And as Chairman brought up, this is a conversation that needs to happen next year or future. And all for it. I said that with the Commissioner Brooks came and talking about ITV. I hope we have you all in the same room when we have these conversations with ITV. But
Yeah, to be handled.
right. So I feel that I hope this isn't something that it really bogs us down and causes us to go backwards. I would say I feel like we're taking a step forward, but I don't want to see us take 2 steps back just because of some numbers, I guess, on dispatching, where I feel that a lot of work has gone in this disadvantage agreement. And that is one of my concerns. I will say is residents in Mount Home have to go back and justify to them if they are paying their share of tax in their Elmore County residents, and that's so how do we come back as a body and say, hey, do you feel that this is a fair thing? So I guess I'm speaking for myself. I'm sorry, but I'm saying let's continue to work together. As someone who was a resident before being elected, it was something that was always, I felt, a contention between county versus city. And I don't want to see that. I want to see us working together. I think we have this year with everything that's gone on. So I guess my ask is, let's continue. If it needs to be readdressed, talk about, let's have another meeting next year. Please let's not go backwards.
So, what are you guys' thoughts on taking out the 5% increase and just putting in here that it will be addressed next year?
I think at one point in our discussion when we met in person, that putting in the table of understanding and knowing exactly on both sides of the fence what revenue you can expect and what expense that you can expect out of our budget was logical. Obviously, the unpredictability of markets and cost of living and all of those things is difficult. We took the swag at the 5% came and showed. Here it is in front of all of us.
I wouldn't take 5% because that's a guarantee. There's always negotiating, but that you can't negotiate.
Well, I just want to, and you see it that way, and I see it as, well, that contract's good for 5 years, it's just let it ride, and it's not addressed, when really the cost of living.
But it can be addressed yearly. You don't know where they're saying
It says it, I mean,
I think our last meeting is a show of faith that at least this body of council is open to have these conversations here. So I would say that I understand the concern, and if it's one of those that signed it, 5 years ago, it's open and we haven't talked, but I feel that let's show already as an example.
Well, it's the same with the items. I mean, you're going to pay for what you use. And that's it just is what it is.
Right. And with regard to the ILITs, that's not really encompassed in that $90,114. It's a $10,000.
But I'm saying it could change.
And that very much could change.
And nobody has control over that.
With the license plate stickers leaving, the state of Idaho, right? That may change the landscape of what ILITs costs are. But now that Mountain Home PD has the opportunity to run those ILITs runs themselves and not utilize dispatch, that $10,000 in this contract is virtually, if we don't use the whole $10,000, keep the change, right? And our intent is to be able to utilize that technology that we have in the officers' vehicles, so we're not jamming up airways for dispatch, right? That was one of the concerns several years ago, is that we have this emergency fire event happening over here. Why are we getting traffic calls from deputies or police officers? We all have the capability of kind of dealing with that on our own without going there. So there's also the reality too that during this contract we might see years, if not all years, where we don't utilize the entire 10,000 value of pilots, and it really is keep changing. So
or be readdressed.
right. Or if we go over, or if we go over that we're gonna pay that actual overage, right? And that obviously is a good faith measure too. If we use more than what we've allocated, then that's usually a big pull on.
What do you want to do, girl?
What's the difference between?
So currently over the previous, the difference between FY27 and FY26 was $22,000. If we went to 114,442, it would be a difference of $46,442 over the current contract.
So if we,
I guess send us if there's not a decision on the current contract, if we can't make a decision, we put anything on here for a discussion decision. So I would say bring it, send us over the changes, if there's a change, or if it's.
Like I said, if Crystal doesn't want to come off what she's doing, I'll just put it off till next week. Let it comes back and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
That's the best I can do.
Okay.
I'm not going to throw a motion out. situation.
We understand, yep. All right,
She's a little away here. I don't know.
Well, I'd like to hang on. If there's
I'm
more
gonna get her
conversation.
an advocate or something.
That's super. Even if we did the 90,000 for this year and increased 8% over since you moved to 5 year, and we're at the 5th year, it still only puts us at 122, which is at least better. And do an 8% increase over, get us a little bit more over 5 years.
They're saying, oh, I got a crystal ball on their budget. If your crystal ball's like mine, it's nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean, we have, you guys have growth, we have growth. Your growth is just annexing the county, which takes away our growth, and we have made that boom, so, but that's not you guys' fault. I mean, if we switch that to 8% and start at the 90 since that's budgeted, I feel better about that, at least going out knowing that I tried to at least get it more equitable. Yeah.
does Mayfield pay for non-emergency dispatch? Just a question, I don't know.
Mayfield's in the county.
Well,
So we have impact fees, obviously. You know,
Well,
the growth in the city of Mount Palm doesn't have impact fees for the sheriff's department.
They've got a
Because the sheriff
space out
offset
there
that.
for the sheriff, the other space for the in-house.
So with all due respect, because our budget, we're down our budget, I'm not willing to change anything. This is what we budgeted for, and this is what this is what I say. In my opinion, never gonna take the 5%. I won't go up to the 8%. So if we need to wait till next week to see what Commissioner Cordes wants to do, maybe that's what we need to do. But I just wanna let you know now where I stand. Yeah.
I guess
that's
That's
fair.
respectful.
rather than just tie it to next week, we still have 2 weeks to our next meeting.
Yeah.
Would you guys be willing to hang off, not to the next meeting, but to the following commission meeting, and we can all meet again, try and get all of our heads together. It gives us time to kind of volley some information back and forth.
So the 21st we meet, but then we don't meet again until September.
I think the contract goes out September
Because we don't
20th.
meet the last Friday, but we can do a special meeting.
And we could, and if we
In regards
noticed
to
it
this, that
with
next week.
deliberation and decision. And again, I think, if we could pick that date on the calendar where we can all be here, that's sure we can kind of plenty of notice on our side of the fence, if that works for you, Councilman. Where, again, we can all come back to the table with our ideas.
Damn,
Why'd you look at me when you said that?
yeah, we'll hold off till I get another commissioner in here, and we'll see what we can do. Best I can give you guys.
All right, Chairman, thank you.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, have a good day.
He wanted her to start reviewing.
Which one is it?